Hey everyone, my name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. If you like making money, subscribe to the channel. You can learn a lot on this channel. It's a financial education channel. If you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up. Leave questions below if you guys have any questions. Sometimes I answer them with videos, or I'll just answer with another comment. So today I'm going to go over an overall market update. I'm going to show you what I'm seeing and what potentially could play out the next couple of days or week. So let's jump in. I'll show you what I got for an overall market update. I'm going to touch on a lot of things here. So first, we'd always look at the 10-year yield. The 10-year yield did go up today, so it's going to put a little bit of pressure on stocks. And you can see that it had a pretty wide range today. And when it was way up, the market really sold off, and then it came back down. And we saw this sharp reversal in the market. And I'm going to go over some charts and show you what those reversals look like. And I think we're probably at near-term or short-term bottoms for the short term. And I'll show you what they look like and what I'm seeing. The US dollar, this is the US dollar. This is looking at it from a close-up daily look. And you can see that there is some upward movement in the dollar. We've got this downtrend that's broken on a short-term basis. Doesn't mean this is going to be a long-term break. What I think it's happening is that we're seeing a short-term kind of dollar strength, and then I think it'll end in weakness. So short-term, the dollar is strengthening. Long-term, we broke out of this very large pattern to the downside, and you can see it breaks out, it kind of firms up a little bit and then breaks back down. It'll firm up a little bit and then break back down. But we could see a firming up of a little bit. That's going to put pressure on commodities. It's going to put pressure potentially on precious metals, but I don't think it's going to last a super long time. Now, looking at the bond yield, this is actually bond prices. And I know someone in the comment section said, well, what's the ticker symbol to follow bonds? It's TLT. This is the iShares 20+ year Treasury bond ETF. It was coming under, it's under pressure. It broke out to the downside, and we've been heading lower. And we're continuing to head lower, and this could be putting in a short-term bottom. It could come back up in the short term. But if interest rates continue to go up, what I see is bonds continuing to sell off. So we'll have to monitor the 10-year and 20-year yield. If the 10-year and 30-year, if they go and try to do yield curve control, the Federal Reserve is that person who does that. If they get in there and they start messing around with yield curve and buying bonds and holding interest rates down, then yes, bonds will strengthen. Now, looking at the Nasdaq Composite, this is kind of what I'm seeing. I drew some lines in here and some things. So what I see most of the time, and what I've seen in the past, is we see a move down, we consolidate. We get a large, high momentum, very large down day sell-off. We put in a reversal pattern here. This is a short-term reversal pattern. It's called a hammer. This hammer will probably reverse a little bit if there's any strength left in the market. It'll pull up like this. This is obviously, I'm just guessing here. This isn't a for sure outcome. But I'm guessing that we're going to pull up, and if we see a contraction in the candlesticks, see how these days are smaller than this big initial day? It could potentially come up and then roll back over like this. If it's going to be sustaining and moving up, we need to see bigger and bigger up candlestick body days that are big like this to really move to the upside. But what I'm looking for is kind of a rollover where this comes up a couple days, rolls over on this day, and then gets sold off again. So be prepared to see this. This is a guess, but I see this all the time in the markets where we get these short-term little bounces and then it rolls back over. Look for the rollover. If it doesn't roll over, that means we have a legit bottom in place. If you see the contraction in the body candlestick size like this, like it starts large and then gets smaller and contracts up, be ready for another hit to the downside. So that's the NASDAQ. This is uranium. Just showing you the price of uranium. We broke this downtrend. It's going sideways. We are pulling back a little bit. And we did break this pattern here, this support line. to the downside. So watch for uranium companies to pull back. I don't think they're done necessarily bottoming yet in the big picture of this pullback, this short-term pullback here. This is what I'm talking about, the pullback. I'm not talking about a long-term. I'm only talking about short-term things here. Tesla, this is Tesla. Obviously, we had a nice big sell-off today, but it reversed very hard in the middle of the day today. And it's leaving us with a wick on the bottom. It's got a lot of momentum to the downside. Does this mean it's going to reverse? I wouldn't jump into this. And remember, some of these things, they're all interconnected. So that's why I'm looking at Tesla. I'm not looking at it for a buying opportunity. What I'm looking at is I'm looking out the side mirrors, looking at all of the other sectors to see what they're doing. And it looks like a lot of the sectors that we in are mimicking these other sectors. But it looks like it's putting in a short-term bottom. Doesn't mean that this momentum is worked off. I think the momentum's to the downside and that we could see more downside in the intermediate term to short term. But in the very short term, we may see a little bit of a pull up like the Nasdaq I showed on that couple slides ago. So maybe it'll pull back up and then roll back over. That's what I'm looking for. EMX Royalty, we've got a nice big wick on the bottom here. And then we had a nice, again, wick on the bottom next to it. The momentum's slowing a little bit. I'd like to see a bullish, piercing, bullish, engulfing, some sort of pattern next to this to say, hey, look, we're bottomed. We're about to turn and move to the upside. So this is putting in work. It's slowing the momentum down, which is the first step of turning. It's slowing the momentum. So it looks pretty good. Nova Royalty, this is looking pretty good as well. We've got a nice wick on the bottom. It reversed and headed and ended up today with the momentum going to the upside. We do have a lot of momentum coming down here, so let's see what it does over the next couple of days. I like Nova Royalty Company. It's a royalty company that is involved with copper and nickel royalties. We've got a Cisco Gold Royalties as a gold royalty company. This is looking fantastic. Again, I think this is looking positive. Nice big bullish engulfing, small 2 down days, and then another up day looking pretty strong in what I would call a very ugly looking market. So I think Cisco looks pretty good. Tellurian, we're putting in, I don't know what it ended at today. Maybe it ended at down 3.7. We got a little wick on the bottom here. Hopefully this thing's starting to put in a bottom where we can turn back up. Another thing I want to touch on here, whenever you get a move that goes vertical like this, and you can see the momentum, this is what I'm looking for in bottoming patterns. This is just doing it in a top, kind of a short-term topping pattern here. Nice big move up, pull back, a smaller pull up, a smaller pullback, a smaller pull up, and then it peaked, and we got a nice little sell-off here. We need to see this in the opposite direction. We're getting wicks on the bottom. It's starting to turn around. This is where I would be patient. Let's see an up day or two. Let's see this kind of chop out sideways, get the momentum to slowly turn to go to the upside. But whenever you have a move that goes from $1.25 to $4, you're probably going to pull back a little bit. And that's what we did. We pulled back to $2.20, maybe even $2 if you take that intraday. But we're putting in higher lows as this thing moves up. So we're cycling back and forth, making higher highs and higher lows. This is good. This is what a strong stock looks like. Don't focus on the short-term volatility. Look at the long-term, look at the value, look for higher highs, higher lows. This is where you want to be. This looks like a bottom to me. I haven't sold a single share of any of these companies. That's my full disclosure here. First Majestic, again, we're putting in higher lows. We're putting in the higher lows. We're putting in the higher highs. I think someone would be making a grave mistake if you were looking at selling this company. Silver has a very bright future. What I'm doing is I'm holding on. I'm not selling anything. First Majestic Silver looks fantastic. Endeavor Silver, just look for the lows, and they're stepping higher lows and higher highs. Looking great. Hold on to it. Diamond hands. I'm here with you guys. I have these same companies that you own. I own all of these companies personally. I am holding on. I think they're going to be fantastic companies to hold during this next commodity bull market that's coming. They're trying to scare you out of the shares. Don't let them scare them out. They want your shares. Don't let them have them. Anglo Ashanti, look at this. We got some life into this thing. We've got bullish engulfing. We've got nice contraction. The sellers are starting to bleed out. I don't see huge down days anymore. I'm seeing bigger up days. The momentum is changing and reversing here with 3 bullish engulfings in a row. 1, 2, 3. This is what I'm looking for in a reversal. And even here, it was starting to get a little bit of life. It kind of broke this downtrend, trying to break it. We had one last final down move. I think it looks pretty good down here. If you like a large gold mining company, I do not own this company, but I'm looking at it. I'm looking out the side view mirror saying, let me see what these companies are doing. Let me look at gold. Let me look at the gold miners. Let me look at the big boys and see what they're doing. I'm trying to find strength, momentum changes, and differences in the charts to see when this thing's going to rotate and turn around. And I think it might be soon. I think it's going to be soon. Sandstorm Gold, again, we're kind of holding the ground right here. We've got an ugly looking market out there, extremely ugly, and it's starting to put a little bit of life in it. I'm not calling a bottom here. I'm still waiting. We still have a downtrend. I'm looking at the candlestick sizes, and I'm noticing the up days are starting to get large, and the down days are less than the up days, which means that the momentum is changing. If you look before this step change, in February 22nd was the step change. You look before this, we've got a lot of big down days and not many big up days. See all these big down days all through here? See how it's all down, 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 big down days, bearish engulfing all through here. All of a sudden, we're seeing this change in here. I think the buyers are stepping in. I think we've got the momentum that's changing. So I would be looking at these companies. They're pretty low. They've got good value. SAND, WPM, OR, FNV, all these royalty companies, I think, are a screaming buy when this changes. It hasn't changed yet. I'm being patient, and I'm waiting for it to turn. And remember, I own these companies. I'm writing this stuff down with you, and I'm looking to add into some of these companies. Now here's CCJ. We've got that nice big wick on the bottom, just like we saw on the Nasdaq. We're looking out the side view mirrors, looking at what other sectors are doing. And remember, I said that we could potentially roll back over. That's what I'm looking for, is that roll over motion. You know, that the pull up and the contraction in the body, candlestick bodies, and rolling back over. It may affect these companies as well. And that's why I'm dragging my feet and watching the markets and watching what the other sectors are doing. But CCJ looks like it's putting in a short-term bottom with a nice wick and the momentum coming back up. Will this indicate that it's a bottom and we're moving on up? I don't know that yet, because I don't know necessarily what the overall market's going to do yet. I'm watching to see what it's going to do before I'm just dumping money in here. But you could nibble on these things. I do think they're still of exceptional value. So you're not going to lose out even if you've purchased these or if you're trying to catch this bottom here. You're doing fine. Denison Mines is kind of roughly in the same place. You're seeing the volume start to kind of come down here. It's starting to put in what I think is an initial bottom with the wicks on the bottom here. That's what I look for. I'm looking for momentum changes. I'm looking for reversal patterns. I'm looking for that stuff. And I think it's slowly starting to come about. And I'm starting to see it just slowly. Uranium Royalty Corp looks like it. I think this actually ended up more. This would be a bullish engulfing. This one's actually looking pretty good. We've got a wick on the bottom. And if this is a bullish engulfing, because I think it ended a little bit higher here, if you like Uranium Royalty Company, maybe that's one to look into. So on an overall market, if I'm touching these things, oil looked like it reversed a little bit, and I don't have too much oil here, but the gold sectors, uranium sectors, it's looking like it might turn around here just a little bit. We're at the beginning stages of a momentum shift, especially gold. Uranium, it looks like it's doing it as well. So if you've got money to put into and you wanted to cost average into this, what I would do is I'd add very little amounts and spread it over the next week. Because if we have more downside to this, which we very well could, I would be very slow and just kind of add it in, maybe wait a couple days, look to see what the market's doing, maybe add a little bit more. If it falls on us, wait a little bit and then try to see when that bottoms, add a little bit more. That's kind of my approach. I'm not an all or nothing, dive it all in one shot on these pullbacks. Sometimes they're difficult to read. We do have a lot of momentum in the Nasdaq and the tech stocks, and we do have rates going on up. So there's a lot of variables here that we're trying to play with. The overall market and on terms of not the S&P, but the Nasdaq is declining. The momentum is to the downside. So I'm looking for a short-term up move, and then I want to see if it rolls back over. If it doesn't roll back over, this could be the bottom of the short-term pullback. And if you see the Nasdaq at the body candlestick lengths, if they go boom, they contract, and then you see a bearish engulfing, then we're probably going to head back down for some more fun on the downside. I don't know. I don't think this is going to be a huge market crash. And the reason I say it's not going to be a market crash is because I don't see people running to bonds. I see interest rates going up, which we've talked about this before on the channel. When interest rates go up, all of these growth stocks are going to come under pressure and they're going to fall. And I know a lot of these things are interconnected right now. And I think we're going to get dragged down with it until we break apart that connectedness. I don't know when that's going to happen, but we'll know when it happens. Oil's kind of breaking and doing its own thing. I saw some of those companies, they may be, ready to pull back too because they've been on fire. But I'm not selling anything. I'm just holding on, waiting for these things to go to the upside. I'll do some other videos. You're going to see oil this weekend. You're going to see some ratio updates. You're going to see how billionaires invest. You're going to see a couple of videos that should give you the confidence to invest. And I'm going to show you that they're not perfect in their investing either. They cost average in. They get down in positions. They could be 60, 70% down on some of their positions. They continue to cost average in because they know the value. And I'll talk about that in another clip on how billionaires invest. We should take cues from them. I mean, they know what they're doing. They've made billions of dollars. They look at this stuff from a long-term perspective, the way that I'm viewing it. I'm trying to, learn from them. And I'm just relaying this information to everyone else so that you guys can learn on how billionaires invest and some of their strategies so you can understand how they invest and how maybe potentially you can incorporate some of their investment, we'll call it investment strategies into your investment strategies. Thanks for listening. If you like this content, give me a thumbs up. Also, leave comments if you guys have any questions or comments. Thanks for listening. This is Finding Value.